Ever use therapy to better pursue masculine purpose? Advice on how to pick the right therapist for this.
Me personally, no. I've never had therapy or had a therapist, but I've had a lot of coaches over the course of my life. I've had a lot of consultants, people that, I study things from a spiritual perspective and a self-help, self-reliance type of perspective. But when it comes to picking a therapist, because I deal with a lot, especially guys that are in couples therapy or marriage counseling, what I often see is that sometimes the guy, because it's usually the dude that's hiring me, he's already in couples therapy. And oftentimes you'll see it's like a female couples therapist is working with them. And
Mhm.
they tend to be a little tribal sometimes and kind of get on the same side as the wife or the
Mhm.
girlfriend. And then they're kind of ganging up on the guy. And so, like in that case, you're going to want somebody that brings you two together, that makes sure both of you get to feel heard and understood, and not where one's constantly berating the other. And so, it needs to be somebody that you feel listens to you, understands you, and actually is helping you,
Yeah.
making you feel better about yourself. You feel like you're accomplishing more, or any of the limiting beliefs or the barriers or things that are getting in the way there, or maybe you got unresolved trauma or issues from childhood. Are they helping you get past that? Are you becoming a better person because of that?
Mhm.
Or are they making you more pissed off and bitter? I mean, I remember I had years ago, I had a guy I coached a lot. He was a really interesting dude. And I remember he sent me this email after, I was like our second or third session. He's like, just a few phone sessions I've had with you have helped me more than 20 years of therapy.
Wow.
And because I'm teaching things that, quite frankly, the therapists just they don't know. It's not a skill set that they have.
Mhm.
And so it's got to be somebody you feel is helping you, somebody that you actually like. Because if you don't like and respect the therapist, it's like you're not going to really be open to them. You're not going to listen to what they have to say.
Right.
And so it needs to be somebody that you respect and you admire, and they feel like they get you and they're helping you. You got to feel like you're getting something out of it, that your life is getting better, that you feel better, that you're accomplishing more, that whatever you hired them to do, you're making progress on it, because success is making progress. And
Mhm.
so if you're going to a therapist a bunch, what a lot of people have this experience, they go to a therapist for a long time, they don't feel like they get any better. Like
Yeah.
it's just they end up talking about their feelings and they walk out of there like they don't feel like they're getting better or they're improving.
Yeah.
And so that's the important thing. Are they adding value to your life? Is your life getting better because of them or not? And if it's not, then you keep looking. And you should interview a bunch of them, especially if it's a couple.
Yeah.
You if you're going to couples therapy, you got to find a therapist that both you and your girl like. If she likes the therapist and you hate the therapist, it's not going to go well.
Mhm.
If you love the therapist and your wife or girlfriend hates them, it's not going to go well. And so you need somebody that can be an ally, somebody that can bring the two of you together and deal with, is good at dealing with conflict. Like years ago, when I was in real estate, my old business partners and I, we hired this guy who was a strategic planner, and he was used to dealing with type A personalities, very strong type personalities. And this guy he had sold companies for hundreds of millions of dollars and done really well, very successful. And so we all respected him
Yeah.
because he came with a resume that, quite frankly, was more impressive than all of our resumes put together.
Mhm.
And so when we would start, when we're having difficulty and we're trying to work things out, and then we're starting to get in a little conflict, and he would step in and interrupt us and stop things from escalating to the point where it got angry or whatever,
Mhm.
and kind of re-steer it in a productive way. And so if you respect the person that is doing therapy with you, then you'll listen to them. And if you don't, it'll go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah. And you have to be open to it too. Don't go into it hostile because I know a lot of people because I go to therapy myself and every time I talk about it to other people and I ask like, "Hey, would you ever go to therapy?" because I love therapy. There are people who are really close-minded towards it and immediately become defensive like, no, I don't need that, like, that doesn't work. Or you go into it saying, oh, I could have told myself that. I would have heard that. I could have read that in a book or something like.
I already thought of this.
Yeah, it's like don't go into it doing that because then you're really not going to get any results. Like, be open minded, even if it's things you've already heard or things that seem, what's it called? They seem like common sense. Just hear it out, try it out. And if you feel like the person isn't really doing much to better you, like Corey said, like you feel like you're just ranting your feelings and then you leave, you can hold them accountable and tell them, hey, like I want to work on this. This is something that I really need to change about myself, and that's what I want to work on here. I don't just want to rant about what I've been through. I want change. And that's why I hired you, because you are paying money to see these people, and sometimes your insurance covers it. Mine covers mine. But if you're not voicing it to them, then obviously you're not going to have a good experience with your therapist.
Yeah, if they suck, don't feel bad about firing them.
Yeah.
Get them out.
I've only tried one and I really liked her, but I do think I could find a better one who holds me more accountable because she's kind of on my side. Like anything that I do, it's like she gives me validation for it. Like, hey, maybe that was a good idea, or maybe you did do the right thing. How about seeing it in this positive perspective? And sometimes you need someone to tell you, no, that's not a good idea. You shouldn't have done that. But not in a harsh way, but in a way where I can understand and reevaluate, like, oh yeah, maybe I could have done things differently. But I do love therapy. It helped so much. It's nice to have someone to talk to who knows nothing about you and can't judge you, because they really don't care. They don't care about what you've been through and what you're going through. Like, they just want to hear you out so you can leave and have a better day. But I'm surprised you've never been to therapy, because Elena is kind of like, in a way, they're.
Well, she's a coach, but she did, what did she major? Psychology or something like that. She took a degree where, um, I forget what they call it, because it was where she was taking it was like the class that she's in now, or that it was last time I spoke to her, was there was Russians and Ukrainians in the
Okay.
class. They were like they're all, even though the war is going on, she's Russian, and they're all talking,
Yeah.
and because I mean life goes on, they're trying to get their degrees. So that's pretty wild.
Because when I've had sessions with her, she kind of tries to talk about things that you're going through or what's on your mind, which is kind of what their therapists do. Like, what's on your mind right now? What's worrying you? And then that's when she touches the bodies to release those energies.
Yeah, because that has to do with like SRI, the somatic respiratory integration, based upon what's going on in your life, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. There's different parts of the body where she does breathing exercise. So if she can find out where you're, in essence, stuck at,
Mm-hmm.
there's always a corresponding part of the body that respond. Like if you're angry all the time or you're really pissed off, that usually is a C5 vertebrae,
Right.
because that usually is jacked, and people that have that pattern, it's like they tend to get really pissed off and they tend to be an angry type person. And so when she hears that or understands that, that's the area that she'll work at with the breathing to help dissipate the tension that's built up in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you dissipate the tension, then the nervous system relaxes. And when the nervous system relaxes, that's when you feel peaceful and you feel calm again. And so,
Yeah.
like, for her to do what she does, and Dominic does the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's listening to, like, what your reality filter is, what your experience of life is,
Mm-hmm.
because the shape and tone of your spine is the shape and tone of your life. And so, when they ask you questions and you tell them what's going on in your life, they have a pretty good idea before they even put their hands in your back of your spine what condition that part of the body is going to be in,
Mm-hmm.
what part's going to be locked and hard, and what parts of it are going to be soft and relaxed. And the goal is to get wherever the tension is to relax and drop, because when the tension relaxes and drops, that helps put your nervous system back at rest and into a peaceful state, versus being where most people are all the time is stuck in fight or flight type of mode.
Yeah.